And let's call that live. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I'm going to be talking to you today about Wonder Woman. All right, specifically issues number 204, 205, and 206. Why? There's a lot here. First off, I've seen a lot. Now, at the time of this video, at least, all of a sudden there's been a rebirth. We're currently in DC Rebirth, right? But there's been a rebirth of acknowledgement of knowledge of Nubia. All right, whether you spell her name Nubia or Nu apostrophe capital Bia. All right, they're both they're both different people. In fact, Nubia with the apostrophe is actually at least two different versions of that character, three if you want to count a certain way. Anyway, guys, after the success of Wonder Woman in the movie theaters, right? We finally got a DC movie that everybody can agree, for the most part, is a freaking fantastic movie. Um, Patty Jenkins blew this one out of the park, and as far as I'm concerned, she should have the right to do anything that she wants to do at this point on, and nobody should even give her a weird eye if she chooses to, right? Whatever she suggests next. But yeah, I have been seeing a lot online about Nubia, okay, a resurgence of interest in this character that most people never even heard of before. Now, I'm a huge, longtime fan of Wonder Woman, especially the George Perez years, but the idea is that there's a lot more than just George Perez. There's obviously the best time of Wonder Woman was clearly, in my opinion, Dr. William Moulton Marston. All right, way back in the day, the original, the creator of Wonder Woman. Yeah, that it's the pinnacle. It's the best. But at the same time, I have to respect how much I love what George Perez did with Wonder Woman. But in between all of that time, all right, we have to go back to before issue number 204. Okay, issue number 204 was the first appearance of Nubia, but this does go back several years prior. Okay, specifically issue number 179. Okay, same volume, volume one, issue number 179. Rob Knighter had come along and he'd said, "Listen, we've got to change up Wonder Woman. Okay, she's just basically a Superman ripoff, and let's really make her popular by changing her up entirely and taking instead of just making a brand new character, which is what should have happened. All right." They instead just took Wonder Woman. They stripped her of her powers and they made her a super spy. Some of you are going, "Oh crap, back during this again." Yes, during this. Most of you, I imagine, are going, "Wait, what?" Because, yeah, that actually happened. She was stripped completely of her powers. Paradise Island disappeared. All right, off the map. They had to go to Bye Bye Land. All right, to renew their powers and all that stuff. Wonder Woman decided to stay, and she was stripped of her powers in order to stay because she is of two worlds. Now she's of one. And with no powers left, she was just regular old Diana Prince. But she met this guy named I Ching, who is one of the premier martial artists of the DC universe, and he taught her how to fight. And she mastered multiple forms, and she was amazing in the martial arts, but still just a normal human girl. All right. Now, when that happened, there was a lot of like sales had dropped a lot and all sorts of bad things happened. All right. Actually, you know what? I made a huge mistake and I probably got people upset right now. It was actually Denny O'Neil who did that. Dennis O'Neil, whatever. He goes by Denny. And the reason why I remember that now is because I'm actually remembering the interview that he did where he's like, "I see how I totally messed up on doing that. And I understand the hate that I got because of that." It was Denny O'Neil who did that. Rob Knighter is actually the guy who fixed all of that. So I just got, yeah, names mixed up. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, moving on from that, what Rob Knighter did was he returned her powers, okay? And much like new things were introduced in issue number 179, um, all those things, for the most part, were destroyed, okay? We start off in issue number 204 with Diana is still a super spy, martial arts super spy. And all of a sudden, there's a sniper who's just on top of a skyscraper, blocks off the skyscraper, and starts popping people off. All these unnamed people, they're not unnamed, they're named, but they're nobodies. It's literally their first and only appearance, all these guys. Some delivery guy, and just little things like that. Someone in charge of a woman's magazine, all right? All these people that just, they're popped and they're killed, all right, by a sniper rifle. Um, one A freshly married couple, not even on their honeymoon yet. I guess driving off to their honeymoon, winds up getting shot. They both get shot and killed inside the car. car careens off and goes into a restaurant where I Ching and Wonder Woman are hanging out. Um, what do you call it? Wonder Woman was able to save I Ching, but as she pulls him over, Sniper shoots I Ching. So this guy's just going nuts. He's killing everybody. He dies in her arms. So just like he was suddenly introduced in Wonder Woman number 179, he was suddenly killed just as quickly, just as suddenly in issue number 204. So yeah, everything from Wonder Woman's past, or this couple of years of her being a super spy, wiped right the heck out, gone. From this point on, Wonder Woman hitches a ride on top of a SWAT helicopter, essentially. Wasn't SWAT, but it might as well have been. Anyway, goes up towards the roof. She jumps off as a rocket rifle is fired at the helicopter. She jumps down, gets into a fight with this guy. He's able to strike her in the head with the rifle, and she falls unconscious, starts falling off the side of the skyscraper. The sniper falls off with her. She lands on the edge of a gargoyle. Or I'm surprised Batman didn't just reach out and grab her, like Man of Steel movie when he's just in the ocean and there's whales down there. We're saying, okay, was that Aquaman who saved him? Yeah. Similarly, was it Batman who saved her? So this is Fun City, though. It's actually called Fun City. It's I can't make that stuff up, guys. I'm not that uncreative. Okay, so it's called Fun City. It's not Gotham City. So what happens is this guy, however, winds up falling to his death. All right, splat on the streets below. So Diana Prince now is taken. She's got total amnesia. She literally can't remember anything. Now her name, she can't remember anything, but she has some kind of a calling, some kind of summoning that she has to go home. All right. So even though she's given a sleeping sedative, she's able to overcome it and escape and goes to an Air Force base and steals Air Force base at the time as an Army base, whatever. Deal with it. Is able to grab it looks like a MiG. It looks like a single engine fighter, but whatever it is, she steals it and she starts going towards the calling, like a homing pigeon would be called. Uh, yeah, a couple of jets follow her and she's not responding to their hails, so she's like, mind you, she lost her memory, but she remembers how to pilot a jet. Go figure. Anyway, so they shoot her out of the sky. She lands, gets attacked by a shark, a gigantic freaking megalodon of a shark, barely able to overcome it. All of a sudden, this ship comes by. She lands within the waters of Paradise Island. It wasn't called the Mascara at the time, it's just Paradise Island. So they're like, oh, look at this. We found a woman. Let's bring her to Queen Hippolyta. So they bring her there, and the queen immediately recognizes her as her daughter, Wonder Woman. So she gets put in this the Amazonian memory bank. I can't make this stuff up, guys. The technology of the Mascara is far superior than ours, but they're apt for naming things sucks. So the Amazonian memory bank, okay, where she's going to make a withdrawal so that she can remember who the heck she is. She is given all of her old memories back, except she is not given access to memories number 3, 4, and 5. Okay, in the comic it actually says 3 through 5, but you get the idea. 3, 4, and 5. It could be confusing the way it's 3-5. So, yeah, she's not given those initial memories. She's given her first 2 memories and then everything after from 6 on. So we don't know what that memory is, but we get a really good hint because we get to see a retelling of the origin story, things a little bit different, okay, by Hercules seducing Queen Hippolyta. What happened? He was able to remove the girdle of Aphrodite from her, or was it the girdle of Athena? I don't remember. It's been a while since I read the comic. The idea is that he removes this girdle from Queen Hippolyta, and now all the Amazonians lose their powers, so they are all subjugated. All right, so Hercules does this to them. Um, uh, Aphrodite hears the prayers of Queen Hippolyta. And what happens is she comes down, she says, okay, I will return your girdle and free you, but even though I'm going to remove the chains, the cuffs themselves, they will stay on you as a eternal memory of what happened. So it's kind of like an Adam and Eve story, right? Adam and Eve eat from the forbidden fruit, and what happens? They forever, man has to toil the earth, and woman forever has to bear the the agony of childbirth. Okay, it's look, I didn't write the Bible. Okay, it's in the Bible, so it's basically along those lines that now women forever have to maintain these bracelets. All the Amazonians have to maintain the bracelets as a eternal memory of what happened. So these bulletproof bracelets that all the Amazons have, it's actually these bulletproof bracelets are actually for remembering their submission, how they made a mistake by being seduced by man. So yeah, go figure. Aside from that, not too much has really changed. Wonder Woman now, she remembers who she is and is immediately challenged by this other. It seems to be an Amazonian. It's definitely a female. By Amazonian, I actually mean Amazon. The difference between Amazonian is an Amazonian is someone who's actually from the Amazon River or Amazon area, right? But Amazons are what the women of Themyscira are called, or Paradise Island. So if I make a mistake again, just understand. I know the difference. Now you do also. Moving on from that, we have this woman. She extremely powerful, completely armored. Literally, there is nothing. You can't even see her eyes. She's completely armored in full plate mail, full great helm, visor down. A lot of times those visors didn't come up in the first place. Yeah, fully armor clad. You can't. She's completely invisible. All right, her skin completely invisible, and she challenges by the ancient traditions of Paradise Island to be Wonder Woman. She says, "I am the one and only Wonder Woman, and right now I am going to lay claim to that by getting rid of this Wonder Woman." All right, so it's a battle, should be to the death. They start going at it with each other, and this woman overcomes our Wonder Woman, Princess Diana. All right, but she hesitates and she doesn't actually kill Wonder Woman. So mind you, there's a couple of challenges. They only show two, but it's hinted that there are several challenges, including like jumping over bulls and all sorts of crazy things like that. Male animals are allowed on the island. What's up with that? So um, eventually they come down to sword and scarf, where they've got to hold on to a scarf and battle with their swords. It's kind of like Michael Jackson's "Beat It." Really good video. Go back and look at that if you're not up to par with the great videos of MTV. So yeah, she holds her hand and they come to basically a draw. Now they decide to split up at this point and go their own separate ways. Queen Hippolyta feels something towards this woman. She doesn't know what it is, and then she says, remove your helmet. So she removes her helmet, and it's a black woman. So yeah, don't really see too much of those in the comic books, especially back in those days. All right, so man. Queen Hippolyta's like, oh my God, who are you? She says, I am Nubia, princess of the floating islands. And Wonder Woman, this is during the time when Wonder Woman starts saying hola to everything, right? Suddenly everybody's Hawaiian. So, hola, Nubia. Like, you just kicked my butt, but hey, how you doing? So that is our first introduction to Nubia. And she says, I've got to go back to my floating islands. You guys chill out here in Paradise Island and, whatever. Um, the floating islands are interesting because they're able to maneuver. They're actually able to go to different places and they're hidden in mists, so you can't find them. So similar to Themyscira, except that these islands actually move a lot, often. We find out later that the floating islands are also called slaughter islands, okay, because they're owned by Zeus. Excuse me, not Zeus, Mars, okay. Later on, yes, he will be called Ares, but for now, like his first appearance, he was called Mars in the very first issue of Wonder Woman, and then he was immediately called from the second appearance on. He was called Mars. He's still called Mars. He's called Ares again, and he gets that amazing armor that you saw in the Wonder Woman movie. Sans seeing the face with the goofy, big, bushy mustache of that English guy, Scottish, whatever he was. I don't know. I don't care. You instead see all black in his face, the exact same armor, but you see all black except for the two very dangerous, terribly frightening looking red glowing eyes inside the armor. That's George Perez who started all that stuff, and just wow, off the hook. So here it's just some guy in hoplite armor with frightening red hair. It kind of looks like Thor, except his beard isn't quite up to snuff. So anyway, what happens now is we go on to the next issue where Wonder Woman now goes back to America and she's working for the UN. She gets a job in the UN being a translator as Diana Prince again, and she's working with a Japanese woman and a Nigerian woman, and it seems like there's a native woman there also, but she comes and goes all the time. So is what it is. Anyway, so you can see they're really trying to do a lot of diversity. That's one of the main reasons why uh, what do you call it, Mr. Denny? I can't I can't be upset at him. All right, Denny O'Neil. I can't be upset at Denny for um, for trying the things that he did. All right, he really did try. He really did try. But Rob Knighter, um, this guy just came along and he's like, listen, this is all inclusion. Now, mind you, this is very different from being a social justice warrior, which that's just shutting down a conversation and trying to take a moral high ground and saying, no, 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 no. I'm the winner because I'm trying to be all inclusive. You could be inclusive without being a social justice warrior. All right. There's an extreme. Okay. So you can say one extreme is racism, the other extreme is social justice warrior. You could say that if you want. The polar opposites, the red shift versus the blue shift. All right. Ultraviolet versus infrared. The idea here is that he was being inclusive, and it's a beautiful thing. Seriously, for me, this is a beautiful thing because we're getting more people into the hobby, more people into the genre of comic books. It's an open welcome, or in this particular case, hola, right? So we see Wonder Woman doing her little thing there. She fights this guy, Mr. Domino, in issue 205. The really interesting part about this is at the end there's a sub story. All right, there's a backup story, and that's purely with Nubia. She's immediately after the battle. Queen Hippolyta goes up and gives her a parting farewell a second time, and Queen Nubia, Princess Nubia, goes back to Slaughter Island, actually the floating island, but in the next issue you'll see it's actually called Slaughter Island. She goes back to the floating island where there are these two men. All right, now mind you, this is an island where it seems as though it's inhabited all by men. All right, very select few issues and appearances of Nubia before the crisis. The was it Crisis on Infinite Earths? Jeez, or Infinite Crisis, I think it is the one where Supergirl Kara dies. Um, yeah, man, we get to see that Nubia goes back and she sees these two guys fighting, and they're fighting for the chance to claim Nubia as their own. So, yeah, the one guy overcomes the other guy. She stops the fight before he actually gets killed. This guy's talking about decapitating him. She goes up and says, no, nobody fights for me. I will fight for myself. So, you want it? Let's go. So, it's kind of like a Red Sonja kind of thing. So, I'm loving all the little callbacks that we have here. Saying, you want me? You have to take me in battle. And she kicks the crap out of him, puts the sword in the ground right next to his head. He's like, oh my God, you spared me? And this has always been the case with Wonder Woman. That's right, because you men are all about war, us women are about peace and love. And until you understand that, you'll never get it. You'll just never get it. So, and then she goes off into one of her huts and she just basically starts crying to, I think she actually cries to Aphrodite and says, I'm supposed to be alone all my life. Well, we find out in the next issue, and like even right on the front cover, like they pretty much just spoil it for us. Mind you, a quick harken back to issue 204, where you see that there's the memory taken out. Even though we go back to when Queen Hippolyta is actually creating Wonder Woman, and you see this white clay statue, and she calls Aphrodite to come and bless it with life. Aphrodite says, they are beautiful. They are amazing. You know what I'm saying? Even though we only see the Wonder Woman clay. So, right on the front cover of issue number 206, it states plainly they are sisters. All right. So, we get to see that what happened was that this number three, memory number 3, 4, and 5 in the memory data bank, Queen Hippolyta goes back and wants to review them again. All right, kind of like a Cerebro in the X-Men universe, but just memories. So she goes back and she reviews those memories so we get to see exactly what those memories are. Aphrodite had blessed her with life, and she says, "I'm going to come back. Okay, I'm going to come back and we come back with some of the other gods: Athena, Mercury, and Hercules specifically. Somehow Hercules, I guess, was cool at this point. And all four of us are going to bless your children with our gifts. So Aphrodite will make her these children extremely beautiful. Hercules will make them extremely strong. Um, Mercury will make them extremely fast, and Aphrodite will make them extremely wise. Okay, mind you, by extreme, we mean by human standards, okay? Look, if Wonder Woman were of today's standards back then, this would have been a very different story, I can assure you. And I'm gonna get to that in a moment. Just keep that in mind. She was not anywhere near Superman's level at that time. All right, when Rob Schneider was writing these, that mostly came with George Perez and onwards, where she was that powerful. Although we did see similarities when Molston was writing for Wonder Woman, the creator. Anyway, we get to see that Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman and Nubia, so Diana and Nubia, when they were both created at the same time, Nubia of dark clay and Wonder Woman of light clay. So I should say Diana because they're both Wonder Women. All right, they're both equally Wonder Women. The trick is that when they were both created and imbued with life by Aphrodite, Aphrodite says, "Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to get the other gods. I'm going to come back." Queen Hippolyta's chilling out with the kids in the cradle. Ares comes marching in. He swoops in and he says, "Oh, I'm taking one of these kids," and he grabs Nubia. And Aphrodite can't stop him. So later on, when Aphrodite and the other three gods show up and they, grant their blessing, Wonder Woman, Diana got the blessing, not Nubia. That's cool though, because Nubia, she still has much of the same abilities. She got them all from Ares though. Okay, so she is extremely strong, durable, fast, all that stuff, and wise in the ways of war. But we know from mythology that Athena was wiser in the ways of war. She is the goddess of wisdom. But she does become strong. But is she as strong as Wonder Woman? Probably not. The trick is her main aspect was she was trained in every single weapon, every single martial art, every single everything that has to do with combat. So it's almost like taking, and like having, I don't know, the thing, or let's just say Luke Cage versus Captain America. Luke Cage is awesome, but he's not going to beat Captain America. Captain America is going to flip him, throw him, toss him, and just what, even if he doesn't have a shield, he's going to throw the guy around until Luke Cage finally says, "Okay, you know what? I give up. I give up. I can't stand being dropped on my head anymore." All right. So it's that kind of a situation where Nubia is a greater warrior than Wonder Woman. Mind you, Wonder Woman is supposed to be the greatest warrior, superheroine, all right, on the earth. According to Batman himself, she's the greatest melee combatant, but Nubia is better than her. So that says a lot about what Nubia is capable of doing. She's also able to glide on air currents, just like Wonder Woman can. Now, at the time, that was the reason why Wonder Woman had her invisible jet because she could fly, but her flight was just gliding on air currents, all right, like riding solars, like an eagle or most birds would. They're finding thermals, pockets of heat, and riding on those. So she can fly, but it's not particularly fast. That's why her jet totally compensates for that. Her invisible jet, at the time called the robotic jet, because it only answered to her the undulation of her specific voice, even though it also responded to her thoughts. Go figure. But anyway, so so Nubia was that person. That's who she was. Now, by this being the case, um, what we see is. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing somebody commenting on one of my videos. We get to see that they go at it again with each other, and it's rough this time. Now, Nubia is still holding her hand. She, holding back her hand from the killing blow. So we see that she could take Wonder Woman at any moment. She is tougher than Wonder Woman, and that's you got to give credit to Rob Schneider for that, man. You gotta. That's back in those days. Forget about it. So at one point, Wonder Woman finally realizes that, hey, look at this. She's got some kind of ring in here, and she goes into a little flashback. Now, this flashback brings her back to a memory from the memory bank that Aphrodite, Queen Hippolyta was taking her daughter Diana around and looking at all the different statues. And one of the statues she looked at was Ares. She's like, I'm afraid of this statue. And she remembers seeing this ring on Ares' statue, the ring of Ares about to stab a downward thrust into the planet Earth. She sees that exact same ring on Nubia. She's like, holy crap, it all makes sense now. Plus, at one point earlier on, Wonder Woman throws the lasso of truth on her, at the time just called the magic lasso. So it wasn't just something that you had to tell the truth. She could actually calm you down and control your emotions that way. But it didn't work on Nubia because her sword, she says, my sword given to me by Ares is the only compensator for your it's a counter action for your magic lasso. So your abilities to control my emotions don't work. So that in mind, she already knows she's on Zeus. Now she realized this ring. So she's trying to wrestle off her ring and she can't. They air current glide both of them up into the sky, and they get above the clouds. Now, Wonder uses her bracelets of submission to shine a light directly on the ring to expand the ring. This is cute. Look, they're really about inclusion and things like that, but they're not really big on science. If you have a ring of some sort or even a jar, you don't heat it up because it will expand, all right? But it's not just the outside that'll expand, it's the inside that'll expand also. So literally it'll go like this. So you get a ring hot on your finger and it's going to expand and get tighter on your finger. You have to get it cold. This way the outside will contract and the inside, both all of it, it will completely contract in on itself. And that's how you're able to split it off or slide it off. Just comic book university, man. It's a university, all right? So all subjects are welcome here for the most part. So anyway, that's what she does, and the ring is able to fall off, and then she's able to break free of Ares' spell. Ares turns into a three-headed dragon, attacks them. Wonder Woman throws her magic lasso around it. Doesn't actually work because it turns out it's an illusion. So she's like, stop fighting. This is pointless. And Ares gets scared away seeing these two, seeing through the illusion, about to kick his sorry butt. So he leaves. These two part ways, very much like sisters in arms. She goes home and to Aphrodite, to Queen Hippolyta, and the queen explains to her this is actually your real sister and lets her in on all of the secrets. So we get to see Nubia. That's the end of issue 204, 205, and 206. The origin and first appearances of Nubia, which is a lot of money on eBay right now, guys. Just pointing that out. So let this die out a little bit. Maybe these issues will go down in price. All right. In the meantime, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. She appears a couple more times in a Supergirl story and things like that, and all of a sudden the crisis happens. Again, I believe it's Crisis on Infinite Earths. No, it's not Crisis on Infinite Earths. Whatever, maybe it is Infinite Crisis, whatever. Where the entire DC universe is completely erased and you start on brand new. They do a crisis every 5 or so years. This particular crisis lasted a year in and of itself, just having the crisis. So everything was erased, including Nubia. Nubia was completely erased and never really brought back. Now, there are several other versions of Nubia. All of these have the apostrophe in there, NU apostrophe BIA. And the most famous of them is, in my opinion, Nubia, where she's a part of Earth 23. Now, most of this stuff is happening on Earth 2, but Earth 23 is where they're mostly black superheroes. All right, the most famous of them is the Superman. In his secret identity, he is not a mild-mannered reporter. In his secret identity, rather, he is the President of the United States. So, literally, the most powerful man on Earth, no matter how you look at him, in either identity. So, yeah, very cool story. You actually just saw him recently in Action Comics, the Multiplicity storyline. I reviewed them. You go back and take a look at them. Type in Multiplicity, Action Comics, Comic Book University. Anyway, so she's there also, and she is an advisor to Superman in many regards. Aside from that, her only other main storyline is that regular, she is the very first winner of the Battle of Wonder. All right. This was the contest of wonder. This is where Wonder Woman had to fight for her right to remember her origin story, her original origin story. She put on the disguise And when Steve Trevor showed up on the island and she wanted to go back and be the one, somebody had to escort him back to the land of man and be an emissary to the land of man. Well, Wonder Woman fought in this battle. She had the uh, bulletin bracelets contest and a whole bunch of other things, and that's where she got the mantle of Wonder Woman to go out and bring Steve Trevor back. Well, she was only the most recent one to do that. That's happened many times before over the 3,000 years that Amazons have existed on the Earth, since the fall of the gods, so to speak, of them being the major aspect on Earth. The very first Amazon who won that battle, the very first person who ever won that battle, was Nubia. Now, her reward, unfortunately, they were battling to be the one person to. They have this thing called the Doom's Gateway. Okay, it's a the whole purpose for Themyscira or Paradise Island is that the Amazons, these fierce warrior women, they are the women, they're the creatures, the beings who are tasked with forever guarding this entryway into Hades and Tartarus. All right. So when beings are trying to escape past the Styx, they come through this one portal that comes onto Earth. That's Doom's doorway. You just saw it recently in the Trinity annual, the 2017 annual, issue number one for Trinity, the current Trinity storyline. Really good stuff, really amazing good stuff. I love that they brought the story back. But so they're all on this island, they're all there to guard this doorway from, letting these evil dead entities and the armies of Hades and Pluto, whatever you want to call them, come onto Saturn, coming onto to the planet Earth. They block this. They guard this doorway. Well, they had one Amazon who guarded the doorway from the inside of the doorway, and they sealed it behind her, and that was Nubia. So 3,000 years of almost constant fighting. She is as powerful. She is a standard Amazonian. She is not the actual sister of Wonder Woman, so to speak. She is just a regular Amazonian existing for 3,000 years, as opposed to the relatively very young Wonder Woman who only existed since World War II, World War One, if you're going to go by the movie. But yeah, big, big difference. So she didn't just spend her time training on the island and having mock combat. I'm talking almost nonstop battle against the hordes of the, I can't even say army, the hordes, unadulterated hordes of the undead, just constantly trying to escape and with very little sleep. Like that's what she's been doing for 3,000 years. So again, she is still, although she doesn't have the same powers that Wonder Woman has, the same gifts, because being created by mud, by clay, and then blessed, and then created on or a different origin, like in the New 52, where she's actually the illegitimate daughter of Zeus and Hippolyta. Just whatever, man. Like she's still a greater warrior than our Wonder Woman, Princess Diana. So that's pretty much just the story of Nubia. So anybody who's curious about her, bang, that's it. I'm kind of hoping this is like a one-stop shop to Nubia. At the same time, yes, I am. I'm hoping that in a year from now, maybe it'll be 2 years, whatever, or 3 years. But I'm expecting like 2 or 3 years. Maybe Patty Jenkins will be listening to what everybody's saying and will cast someone as Nubia in the comic, or excuse me, in the movie. Here's looking for it. My channel is not even a year old right now, but we'll we'll see what happens in the future. But right now, as it stands, the date is the 20th of June, 2017. That is the origin thus far of Nubia. I'm positive that with all this love that's going on for this resurgence of awareness of who Nubia is, that Wonder Woman actually has a black sister. I'm pretty sure that DC, who is currently in their rebirth, is going to have a rebirth of Nubia. It wouldn't make sense for them to not. So, yeah, I can't be responsible for what they do from this point on. All right, and unless I'm just going to start reviewing those comics. In the meantime, that's the character, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this. That's me, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.